Picture this: a rider on a white horse, holding a flag that represents the world. Sound familiar? It should, because it's straight out of the Bible's most mysterious book. Now fast forward to Paris 2024. The same image appears, but this time it's not in an ancient text, it's in the Olympic ceremony. Coincidence? I don't think so. Let's take a closer look at this rider on a white horse. You might think it's just part of the Olympic spectacle, but there's something much deeper going on here. We need to go back to the Bible, specifically to the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 2. It says, "I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest." Now you might be thinking, what does this have to do with the Olympics? Well, you're about to be shocked. In the Paris 2024 Olympic ceremony, we see an eerily similar image: a rider on a white horse, holding not a bow, but an Olympic flag. The parallels are striking, and they're impossible to ignore. Let's break this down. In both cases, we have a white horse. In the Bible, white horses often symbolize victory or purity. But in this context, it's tied to conquest. The Olympic use of a white horse might seem innocent at first, but when you consider the biblical parallel, it takes on a whole new meaning. Now, what about that flag the Olympic rider is carrying? It's not just any flag. It's the Olympic flag, representing all nations coming together. But here's where it gets really interesting. In the Bible, the rider is given a crown and sent out to conquer. The Olympic flag, with its 5 interlocking rings, could be seen as a modern crown, a symbol of global unity and power. You might be wondering, could this really be more than just a coincidence? Well, let's think about it. The Olympics are a global event. They're bringing nations together under one banner. In a way, it's a form of conquest, not through violence, but through sport and culture. The parallel to the biblical rider, sent out to conquer, is hard to ignore. But here's the real kicker: the timing. We're living in an age where global events seem to be lining up with ancient prophecies in ways we've never seen before. The appearance of this white horse rider at the Olympics isn't just a neat parallel. It could be a sign of something much bigger, unfolding right before our eyes. The uncanny similarity between this Olympic image and the biblical prophecy should make us all stop and think. Are we witnessing the fulfillment of ancient warnings? Is this a deliberate message hidden in plain sight? Or is it all just an incredible coincidence? Whatever the case, one thing's for sure: the white horse rider at the Paris Olympics is more than just a spectacle. It's a powerful symbol that bridges ancient prophecy and modern reality in a way that's hard to explain away. But hold on to your seats, because the white horse is just the beginning. What we've uncovered next will make this look like child's play. The rabbit hole goes much deeper, and you won't believe where it leads us next. From white horses to rainbows, the symbolism at the Olympics keeps getting more intriguing. But here's something that might shock you. What if I told you that the very symbol of hope and promise could actually be a sign of something far more ominous? The truth behind the Olympic rings might leave you questioning everything. When you think of rainbows, you probably picture God's promise to Noah after the Great Flood. It's a beautiful symbol of hope and new beginnings, right? Well, hold on to that thought, because we're about to take a journey that might change your perspective entirely. Let's start with the Bible. In Genesis, God sets a rainbow in the sky as a sign of his covenant never to flood the earth again. It's a powerful image of divine promise and mercy. But here's where things get interesting and a little unsettling. Remember that white horse rider we talked about earlier? Well, in the original Greek text of Revelation, the word used for bow is toxin. Now you might think this just refers to a weapon, like a bow and arrow. But here's the kicker. Toxon can also mean rainbow. That's right, the same word is used for both a weapon of war and a symbol of peace. So, what does this mean for our understanding of Revelation 6:2? Could the rider on the white horse be carrying not just a bow, but a rainbow? And if so, what kind of conquest are we really talking about here? Now let's fast forward to today. Rainbows are everywhere, especially at the Olympics. We see rainbow flags, rainbow merchandise, even rainbow-colored Olympic rings. It's all about inclusivity and diversity, they say. But is there more to this colorful display than meets the eye? Think about it. The Olympics bring together people from all nations, all cultures, all beliefs. It's a global event that promotes unity and acceptance. Sounds great, doesn't it? But what if this rainbow-colored unity is actually paving the way for something else entirely? Remember, in the Bible, the Antichrist is said to come as a unifier, someone who brings peace and prosperity to the world. Could the prominence of rainbow imagery in the Olympics be setting the stage for this deception? Are we being subtly conditioned to accept a new kind of global allegiance? Let's look at the Olympic rings themselves. 5 interlocking circles, each a different color, representing the unity of the 5 continents. But when you put them all together, what do you get? A rainbow effect. Coincidence or clever symbolism hiding in plain sight? Now, I'm not saying the Olympics are evil or that everyone involved has some hidden agenda. But we need to be aware of the power of symbols and how they can shape our perceptions. The rainbow, once a sign of God's promise, is now being used to promote a very different kind of unity, one that some argue goes against traditional biblical values. So what's the takeaway here? Is there a deeper meaning to all this colorful symbolism? Could the Olympic use of rainbows be more than just a celebration of diversity? Is it possible that we're witnessing a subtle shift in global allegiance right under our noses? These are big questions, and I don't have all the answers. But one thing's for sure. The connection between biblical prophecy and Olympic symbolism is getting harder to ignore. And as we continue to unravel this mystery, you might find your view of the world changing in ways you never expected. But hold on, because we're just getting started. The rabbit hole goes even deeper, and what comes next might leave you speechless. Are you ready to see how far this symbolic web really stretches? As we dive deeper into the Olympic symbolism, a golden figure emerges from the mists of ancient history. Remember the story of Moses and the Israelites? Well, it seems that a controversial piece of that narrative is making a surprising comeback. But why now? And what does it mean for our modern world? Let's take a journey back to the book of Exodus. Moses has gone up Mount Sinai to receive the 10 Commandments from God. The Israelites, growing impatient and unsure of Moses' return, decide to take matters into their own hands. They gather their gold jewelry and create a golden calf to worship. When Moses returns, he's furious. He smashes the tablets containing God's law and destroys the idol. It's a pivotal moment of rebellion against God, one that has echoed through the ages. Now fast forward to Paris 2024. You might not believe this, but a golden calf figure is set to make an appearance in the Olympic opening ceremony. Yes, you heard that right. The very symbol of idolatry and false worship from the Bible is about to take center stage at one of the world's biggest events. Can you imagine what Moses would say if he saw this? But here's where it gets even more intriguing. The organizers claim this is all about embracing diversity and representing different cultures. They say it's just art, just a nod to history. But is it really that simple? Or could there be something more sinister at play? Think about it. The Olympics are supposed to be about unity, about bringing people together. But by including a symbol that's so controversial, so loaded with religious meaning, aren't they actually doing the opposite? It's like they're deliberately poking a hornet's nest of religious sensitivities. And it's not just the Olympics. Remember the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham? They featured a massive mechanical bull. Now you might think, what's the big deal about a bull? Well, in biblical terms, bulls and calves are often associated with idolatry. It's like we're seeing a pattern emerge, a trend of using these provocative symbols in major sporting events. But why? What could be the motive behind these choices? Are the organizers simply trying to be edgy and provocative? Or is there a deeper agenda at work? Some religious leaders and cultural critics are raising alarm bells. They're saying that this is part of a broader shift away from traditional religious values, a subtle attempt to normalize what was once considered taboo. Think about the implications for a moment. If we start accepting these symbols of idolatry as just another part of our cultural tapestry, what's next? Are we opening the door to a world where the lines between right and wrong, sacred and profane, become increasingly blurred? It's a troubling thought, isn't it? The revival of these ancient symbols of rebellion against God, presented as harmless artistic expression, could be paving the way for something much more significant. We might be witnessing a gradual erosion of our moral foundations, all under the guise of inclusivity and artistic freedom. But here's the thing. This golden calf at the Olympics isn't just a standalone issue. It's part of a bigger picture, a symbolic puzzle that's slowly coming together before our eyes. And if you think this is shocking, just wait until you hear what's coming next. The rabbit hole goes even deeper, and what I'm about to reveal might leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the Olympics and their hidden messages. Just when you thought the golden calf was shocking, the Paris Olympics has taken it a step further. Imagine Leonardo da Vinci's iconic Last Supper painting. Now picture it completely transformed in a way that's left the world stunned. What could possibly be so shocking about this reimagining that it sparked outrage from world leaders and social media alike? Let's start with the original masterpiece. Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper is one of the most recognized paintings in history. It depicts Jesus Christ sharing his final meal with his 12 apostles before his crucifixion. This sacred scene has been revered for centuries, not just for its artistic brilliance, but for its deep spiritual significance to Christians worldwide. Now brace yourself for what the Paris Olympics has done. They've taken this holy image and given it a makeover that's causing an uproar. Instead of Jesus and his disciples, We see drag queens and dancers striking poses around the table. The central figure, traditionally Jesus, is now portrayed in a bright blue bodysuit. It's a jarring sight that's left many people shocked and outraged. The backlash was swift and fierce. Social media exploded with criticism, and even high-profile figures couldn't stay silent. Elon Musk, the tech billionaire, went as far as describing Christianity as toothless in the face of such displays. French politician Marion Maréchal didn't hold back either, arguing that this tableau represented the views of an aggressive minority rather than the broader French sentiment. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The organizers quickly issued an apology and tried to explain their artistic choice. They claimed it was all about inclusivity and progress. James Lepre, president of the French LGBT community, even defended the tableau as a bold statement for equality. But for many, this explanation fell flat. You might be wondering, how could they not see this coming? It's a fair question. The clash between artistic expression and religious sensitivity is nothing new. But this seems to have crossed a line that many thought untouchable. Critics aren't just upset. They're seeing this as an outright disrespect to Jesus Christ and Christian values. Some observers have gone even further, drawing connections to ancient pagan practices. They point out similarities between the blue central figure and depictions of Dionysus, the Greek god of wine and ecstasy. If true, this adds another layer of controversy. Are we seeing a deliberate evocation of ancient idolatry right in the middle of the Olympic ceremony? This isn't just about one controversial artwork. It's part of a larger pattern we're seeing unfold before our eyes. From the white horse rider to the golden calf, and now this reimagined Last Supper, it's like we're witnessing a systematic challenge to traditional Christian symbolism on a global stage. But here's the question that should really make you think, what's the end game here? Is this just about pushing artistic boundaries, or is there a deeper agenda at play? Are we seeing a deliberate attempt to redefine sacred imagery and, by extension, reshape our cultural and spiritual values? As shocking as this Last Supper tableau is, it might just be the tip of the iceberg. There's an even deeper layer to this symbolic puzzle that we haven't uncovered yet. And what comes next could change everything you thought you knew about the hidden messages behind these Olympic Games. Are you ready to go even further down this rabbit hole? Remember that blue figure at the center of the reimagined Last Supper? Well, hold on to your seats, because we're about to explore a mind-bending possibility that no one's talking about. What if this isn't just artistic license, but a deliberate nod to a pagan god? The implications could be more terrifying than anyone realized. Let's take a closer look at this controversial tableau. At first glance, it might seem like a modern twist on Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece. But some keen observers have noticed something strange. This might not be a Christian scene at all. In fact, there's a growing claim that what we're really seeing is a feast of Greek gods. And at the center of it all, not Jesus, but Dionysus, the god of wine and ecstasy. Now you might be thinking, how could anyone confuse Jesus with a pagan god? But here's where it gets really interesting. The central figure in the Olympic tableau is dressed in bright blue, which is pretty unusual for depictions of Jesus. But do you know who was often portrayed in blue? That's right, Dionysus. But the similarities don't stop there. Dionysus was known for his wild parties and ecstatic rituals. He was the god of wine, fertility, and ritual madness. Now look at the scene in the Olympic ceremony. We've got drag queens, dancers, and a general atmosphere of revelry. It's starting to sound a lot more like a Dionysian feast than the Last Supper, isn't it? Let's talk about Dionysian cults for a moment, because this is where things get really disturbing. These ancient groups were known for their frenzied dances, music, and intoxication. They believed that by losing themselves in ecstasy, they could become one with their god. Some of these rituals even involved animal sacrifices. It's a far cry from the solemn, sacred atmosphere of the Last Supper. So why does this matter? Well, if this tableau is really depicting Dionysus instead of Jesus, it completely changes the message. Instead of a scene of sacrifice and spiritual significance, we're looking at a celebration of excess and abandonment. It's like someone took one of the holiest moments in Christian history and turned it into a wild party. But here's where it gets really tricky. The organizers haven't confirmed or denied these interpretations. They're letting the imagery speak for itself. And that ambiguity, it might be the most dangerous part of all. By blending Christian and pagan symbolism, they're creating a confusing message that could lead people astray. Think about it. If you saw this image without any context, what would you take away from it? Would you see a holy meal or a debauched feast? A savior or a party god? The lines are being blurred, and that's exactly what has so many people worried. This dual symbolism isn't just artistically provocative, it's spiritually dangerous. By mixing sacred Christian imagery with pagan elements, it's like they're trying to create a new kind of spirituality, one that takes bits and pieces from different beliefs and mashes them together. But in doing so, they might be undermining the very foundations of faith that millions hold dear. So what's the real message behind this ambiguous imagery? Are we witnessing an attempt to redefine religious symbolism on a global stage? Or is it just a misguided artistic choice that spiraled out of control? Whatever the truth, one thing's for sure: this blend of Christian and pagan elements is unsettling at best and potentially destructive at worst. And if you thought this symbolic confusion was concerning, just wait until you see what's coming next. We're about to uncover a gesture that you've probably seen 1,000 times, but its true meaning might shock you to your core. Are you ready to have your eyes open to a whole new level of hidden symbolism? You've seen it everywhere, at concerts, on social media, and now at the Olympics. That simple heart gesture made with your hands seems innocent enough, right? But what if I told you this ubiquitous symbol might be part of a plan to completely redefine what love means? The truth behind this gesture might leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about modern symbolism. Let's start with the Paris Olympics. Amidst all the pageantry and spectacle, there it was, performers making heart shapes with their hands. It's a gesture we've all seen before, but its prominence at such a global event is striking. And it's not just the Olympics. This symbol has become a staple of pop culture. Think about the last concert you attended, or music video you watched. Chances are you saw a major celebrity flashing this heart sign to their adoring fans. Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Beyoncé, Katy Perry. They've all embraced this gesture. It's become a universal symbol of love and connection. But here's where things get interesting and a little unsettling. In the Christian tradition, Love has a very specific and profound meaning. It's not just about feelings or attraction. Biblical love is about sacrifice, commitment, and putting others before yourself. The ultimate example of this love is Jesus Christ's sacrifice on the cross. It's a love that's selfless, enduring, and transformative. Now contrast that with the love symbolized by this heart gesture. In popular culture, it often represents a much more superficial kind of love. It's about likes on social media, fleeting emotions, and self-expression. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing inherently wrong with showing affection. But when this symbol starts to replace deeper understandings of love, we might have a problem. You might be thinking, it's just a hand gesture. How much damage can it really do? But here's where it gets concerning. Symbols have power. They shape how we think and what we believe. And when a symbol becomes as widespread as this heart gesture, it starts to redefine concepts on a global scale. Consider this. What if there's a larger agenda at play? What if this seemingly innocent gesture is part of a plan to shift our understanding of love away from its traditional biblical roots? It's a bold claim, I know. But look at the evidence. We're seeing a gradual erosion of traditional values in many areas of life. Could this heart symbol be another tool in that process? Some cultural critics and religious leaders are sounding the alarm. They argue that by promoting a more superficial, emotion-based concept of love, we're losing sight of the deeper, more meaningful aspects of love that have guided societies for centuries. It's like we're trading in a profound, life-changing force for a quick dopamine hit. And here's the really chilling part. This redefinition of love could have far-reaching consequences. If we start to believe that love is just about good feelings and self-expression, what happens to concepts like commitment, sacrifice, and unconditional love? These are the foundations of strong families, communities, and societies. Are we at risk of losing them? As we piece all of this together, a disturbing picture starts to emerge. From the white horse rider to the golden calf, from the reimagined Last Supper to this heart gesture, it's like we're witnessing a systematic attempt to redefine some of our most fundamental symbols and beliefs. And it's happening right before our eyes, on the world's biggest stages. But don't lose hope just yet, because as we uncover these hidden messages and agendas, we gain the power to resist them. By understanding what's really going on, we can make informed choices about what we believe and what kind of love we want to embrace. And trust me, this rabbit hole goes even deeper. What we're about to explore next might just tie all of these seemingly unrelated symbols together in a way that will leave you questioning everything. Are you ready to see how deep this symbolic web really goes? We've uncovered some shocking symbols at the Paris Olympics. But what if I told you they're all part of something much bigger and far more terrifying? The truth might shake you to your core. Let's piece together everything we've seen and reveal the chilling connection that ties it all together. Remember the white horse rider mirroring the description in Revelation? The golden calf echoing ancient idolatry? The reimagined Last Supper with its pagan undertones? And that seemingly innocent heart gesture spreading across the world? These aren't random coincidences. They're pieces of a puzzle that, when assembled, paint a disturbing picture of what might be unfolding right before our eyes. Now let's talk about something that might send shivers down your spine. the concept of the Antichrist. In biblical prophecy, this figure is described as a charismatic leader who will deceive the world, uniting people under a false promise of peace and prosperity. Sound familiar? It should, because the symbols we're seeing at the Olympics align eerily well with this description. Think about it. The Olympics bring the world together, promoting unity and celebration. But what if this global unity is setting the stage for something far more sinister? The white horse rider, once a symbol of conquest, now represents a worldwide sports event. The rainbow, God's promise of peace, has been transformed into a symbol of a new kind of global acceptance. Even love itself is being redefined through that ubiquitous heart gesture. You might be wondering, how could so many people be deceived? But that's the terrifying genius of it all. This deception isn't happening through force or fear. It's happening through culture, through events that make us feel good, that we celebrate and embrace. The Olympics, with its message of unity and its global reach, could be the perfect vehicle for spreading a new kind of worldwide allegiance. Let's look at how these Olympic symbols line up with prophetic descriptions. The Antichrist is said to come as a peacemaker, uniting the world. Isn't that exactly what the Olympics claim to do? He's described as a master of deception, using signs and wonders to mislead people. Could these elaborate ceremonies, filled with symbolic imagery, be a modern form of those very signs and wonders? But here's what should really make you sit up and take notice. The Bible warns that the Antichrist will be accepted and even celebrated by many. Look at how eagerly the world embraces the Olympics and its symbols. Millions tune in, countries compete to host, and the event shapes global culture. If a deception on this scale were to happen, wouldn't it look a lot like this? Now, I'm not saying the Olympics are evil, or that everyone involved has some hidden agenda, but we need to be aware of the power of symbols and how they can shape our perceptions. What we're seeing could be the groundwork for a massive shift in global consciousness, preparing people to accept a new kind of leader and a new world order. Are we witnessing biblical prophecy unfold in real time? The possibility is chilling. These symbols and events, broadcast to billions around the world, could be slowly conditioning us to accept ideas and allegiances that go against traditional faith and values. It's a sobering thought that the very spectacles we cheer for might be part of a grand deception. But don't lose hope just yet. In the face of this potential darkness, there's still light. And what happens next might surprise you. Because even as these symbols of deception spread, something unexpected is happening. Something that could change everything. Are you ready to discover the power that could stand against this global deception? In the midst of all this symbolism and potential deception, something unexpected happened that might just restore your faith in humanity. Remember that controversial video for the Olympic opening ceremony? Well, it turns out that the power of unity is stronger than you might have imagined. Here's what went down. The organizers had planned to showcase a reimagined Last Supper tableau, complete with drag queens and dancers. It was supposed to be a bold statement about inclusivity and progress. But when word got out, something remarkable occurred. People from all walks of life, Christians, atheists, and individuals of other faiths, came together in a united front of protest. You might think that, in today's divided world, finding common ground is impossible. But this situation proved otherwise. The outcry was so strong, so unified, that the organizers had no choice but to remove the video entirely. It's a powerful reminder that when people stand together for what they believe in, real change can happen. Let's talk about Christian unity for a moment. In times of challenge, it's easy for believers to feel isolated or overwhelmed. But this situation shows us something incredible. When Christians come together, they can overcome even the darkest of circumstances. It's like a light shining in the darkness, dispelling the shadows of confusion and deception. Think about it. What could believers achieve if they stood united like this more often? The possibilities are staggering. Imagine a world where Christians set aside their minor doctrinal differences and focused on the core message of the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's a force to be reckoned with, capable of shaping culture and changing hearts on a global scale. But here's the really exciting part. This unity isn't just theoretical. We're seeing it in action right now. The situation with the Olympic video serves as a powerful reminder that collective action can lead to positive change. It's proof that Christians can make a real difference when they rally around shared values and stand firm in their beliefs. You might be wondering, is this just a one-time thing, or is there more to it? Well, let me tell you, this could be the beginning of something much bigger. There's a promise in the Bible that says, "I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." What we're seeing here might just be that promise in action, the enduring strength of faith and community standing strong against the pressures of a changing world. So what does all this mean for us? It's a wake-up call, a reminder that we're stronger together than we are apart. In a world that seems to be growing darker by the day, with symbols of deception popping up in unexpected places, this united stand shines like a beacon of hope. It proves that even in the face of global challenges, the power of faith and community can prevail. As we wrap up our journey through the symbolic maze of the Paris Olympics, let's hold on to this silver lining. Yes, we've uncovered some troubling connections and potential deceptions. But we've also discovered a powerful truth, that when believers unite, they can change the course of events and shine a light in the darkness. So what's next? Well, that's up to us. Will we let this moment of unity fade away, or will we build on it? The choice is ours, and the implications could be world-changing. Are you ready to be part of something bigger than yourself, to stand united with fellow believers against the darkness? The stage is set, and the world is watching. What will you do? We've journeyed through a maze of symbols and uncovered some truly shocking connections between the Paris Olympics and biblical prophecy. From the white horse rider to the golden calf, from the reimagined Last Supper to that heart gesture, the signs are there for all to see. But now you know what to look for. As we wrap up, remember this: staying vigilant is key. Keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. Seek out the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And most importantly, don't forget the power of unity we witnessed. When believers stand together, they can push back against the darkness. You might find that your view of world events has shifted after what we've uncovered. That's okay. It means you're awake to the possibilities. So, stay strong in your faith, stay connected to your community, and keep watching. Because in these uncertain times, Your awareness could make all the difference.